The Joker is one of the most enduring and enigmatic villains in comic book history, a figure whose past is as twisted and warped as his smile. Unlike many characters who have a single, well-defined history, the Joker's origin story has shifted and fractured over decades, reflecting not just changing trends in comics, but the character's own obsession with chaos and uncertainty. The story began in 1940, when the Joker first appeared in Batman's earliest adventures. Back then, little was revealed about who he was or where he came from. He was simply an unpredictable crime boss with a deranged sense of humor. There were no hints at a tragic or traumatic past, only a man who chose crime for reasons unknown, a cipher who thrived in the shadows. For years, this lack of backstory became a key to his mystique. The Joker didn't need an origin. His very existence was meant to unsettle both Batman and the reader. But comics, like all storytelling, evolve. By the 1950s and 1960s, readers became hungrier for explanations of their favorite villains. The first real attempt at an origin story came in 1951's Detective Comics number 168, which presented the now iconic Red Hood narrative. In this version, the Joker was a small-time criminal who, during a confrontation with Batman, fell into a vat of chemicals. The chemicals disfigured him, bleaching his skin chalk white and stretching his mouth into a grotesque grin. Driven mad by his new appearance, he became the Joker. This tale, simple and vivid, stuck with audiences. And for money, the image of the criminal in the red bucket helmet diving into acid would become the template for decades. The 1980s, a darker, more psychologically complex era in comics, brought the next great shift. Alan Moore's The Killing Joke emerged in 1988 and quickly became one of the most influential Joker stories ever told. Here, the Joker's past became even more tragic. He isn't just a faceless crook. He's depicted as a failed stand-up comedian, battered by the grim realities of life. Anxious to provide for his pregnant wife, he agrees to a heist as the Red Hood. In a turn of fate, his wife dies in an accident before the job, but he's still forced into the crime and ends up confronting Batman, ultimately falling into the infamous vat of chemicals. Moore's version is a study in despair and the suffocating power of one bad day, suggesting that anyone, even the meekest soul, could become a monster if their life collapsed just the right way. But Moore is careful to hedge his bets. The Joker himself, narrating pieces of this story, admits that he prefers his past to be multiple choice. Rather than clarify, The Killing Joke deepens the mystery, making the Joker's background both more compelling and more ambiguous. The Joker, after all, is the embodiment of contradiction, a man who wants to be understood, but also wants to keep everyone guessing. Other storylines exploit this ambiguity. Grant Morrison's Batman. The Clown at Midnight and Batman R.I.P. suggest a more metaphysical approach, describing the Joker as a sort of super sane being, constantly reinventing himself and his motives. In some retellings, his origins don't involve chemicals at all, focusing instead on his psychological transformation or on the idea that he simply is without cause or logic. The 2019 Joker film starring Joaquin Phoenix offers one of the grimmest and most sympathetic tags a failed comedian named Arthur Fleck, damaged by a brutal world, who descends into chaos and violence with terrifying inevitability. While not a comic, this film borrows from various interpretations, highlighting the elasticity of the character. Meanwhile, in DC's multiverse, there are even stories featuring several Jokers, each representing a different aspect or era of the character. In Batman 3 Jokers, the question is not just what is the Joker's origin, but which Joker are we talking about? Here, the myth is split across multiple incarnations, each informed by past origin stories. Each major interpretation feeds the legend. Sometimes a petty thief, sometimes a tragic everyman, sometimes an unknowable force of nature. Sometimes the details shift on purpose, as though the Joker himself is warping his own history, making sure no one least of all Batman can truly understand him. And so, the Joker's origins remain in flux. A mystery by design. Maybe that's what makes the character so compelling. In a world desperate for answers and clarity, the Joker endures as an unsolvable riddle, his true self always one step out of reach, as darkly magnetic and slippery as ever.